today's video, we're going to be breaking down how I made £1,000 in less than 2 hours trading my personal account on GBP USD. I'm also going to be breaking down GU for the rest of the week and what I expect to happen, including my points of interest that I'll potentially be looking to trade from. If you're new around here, make sure to click that subscribe button with notifications on. Also make sure to follow my socials at Rob Dono and also the place that I mentor at Woke Limited. We literally just gave away 3 funded accounts for completely free on that Instagram account and our free Discord server. So let's get right into the analysis. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So there's quite a bit already kind of drawn on. This is just all previous analysis, to be honest. As you can see, we've been extremely bearish, have managed to catch quite a few positions. What I will do is just get rid of majority so I can redo it all if this wants to let me. Bosh. Okay, so yesterday's position. It was quite a nice little short. I think obviously with the direction of the market, everything being bearish, fundamental news very bearish. Ultimately, it was just a short going with structure. So this was yesterday. This is what I was... Actually, no, this was yesterday. Actually quite similar to Friday. Here, yeah, very similar kind of setups actually. But ultimately, it was a low range Asian session. So I was looking for both the low and the top to be taken ultimately. We have got some sort of selling pressure from here, nice fair value gap, etc. But for me, I was looking at them as the power of 3 a little bit. So where we had here, clear kind of accumulation, followed by sweep of Asian high after sweeping Asian low. You could argue that this is the accumulation as well. And then we have manipulation when we swept the high. And then distribution when we broke down and had that shift in market structure back down to the downside. And then ultimately what I was just really, really interested in and where we actually caught the position was this area here. I mean, you could have looked at this area as a whole, this high up here, and you would have got the same kind of look in. But the reason I was looking at this area is because obviously we're looking at this swing. So the top of this high to the bottom of this low. Again, because that's where we've seen the impulsive move, the distribution that has caused the market structure shift. Now, when you look at this area, it's a perfect order block, supply order block in that premium of this swing. So a lovely place to short from. What I did was wait for confirmation, and I would normally take it on the 1 minute, but I waited for the 5 minute just for extra confirmation in case it was ultimately a sweep of structural and weekly liquidity from the previous week to then cause a big movement upwards, which is a similar position to what I caught last week. Ultimately, once I got that confirmation on the 5 minutes, we saw this change of character here. Once that low is taken out, stop loss up here, take profit is 100, I believe. So it's around a 3R, 3.5R. Ultimately, it was very, very, very low risk. I only risked about £300 on my personal account. Obviously made about £1,000 in profit. Also, it was very much set and forget. I very rarely take set and forget positions because I'm a full-time trader. I've got time to be analyzing my position and managing my trade without losing my head. Obviously, I think in this kind of circumstance, I was very much busy. So I really like to look at the position, but I knew I can actively manage the position. So that's why I lowered the risk and took a kind of set and forget position, but very happy with it. I mean, I could have held it, which again, if I was actively managing the position, I probably would have once we got more and more confirmation that we were seeing that continuation to the downside. Today's been an interesting day. Ultimately, we've just seen a ton of accumulation or ranging structure right now. Horrible day to be trading New York session. I actually had someone ask me earlier today if I was trading New York session. Just such a quick reply of no. It doesn't look particularly nice. There's not loads to trade. In terms of the weekly, we've got a big price gap here, which we're currently in. We've got a very big fair value gap that we're coming into now. I'll put that as a different color so it's a bit more evident, which we're coming into now. So it's a very interesting point. Obviously, weekly fair value gaps tend to be filled, but it's normally a lot later than you would see typical fair value gaps filled. We've got one still down here as well. A lot of bearish news for the pound. So a lot of good news for the dollar, a lot of bad news for the pound has meant that price has seen a very, very big move to the downside. Now, in terms of structure, looking at this swing now, we've got the top of this point here. Let's just say we see some sort of pullback now. This is now very much getting into that golden zone again of this swing. So let's say this swing goes down maybe here. Then that's again very much in the premium of that swing. So you could see a reaction off of here. If you go down into the lower time frames, you will see nicer structure, nicer order blocks to trade. Again, you'd probably wait for market structure shifts and more evident kind of confirmation that we are seeing the continuation back to the downside. But for now, we're leaving fair value gaps behind on the weekly, which does suggest there is obviously room to go up. We have literally seen 5 days consistently of bearish movement, but we are now coming into this daily fair value gap. I believe there's a 4-hour one there as well. So potentially, oh, this is even bigger, fair value gap here. In terms of the ultimate low of this swing, I would be looking at this. Let's put this in green. Okay, so that's an interesting area, mainly because we've seen so much bullish pressure out of there, so much buying pressure, multiple fair value gaps coming out of directly that area after liquidity sweeps, manipulation, and then the distribution. Just quickly going to see on the weekly. So that is a clear low. So you could see like a double bottom form there, or potentially even kind of like a triple bottom. But it's not amazing because there's a fair value gap beneath that. Then again, it is obviously going to be an area where there is still buying pressure. That's obviously going to take a while to get to, but that is an ultimate kind of target for me. In terms of the weekly order block would be just beneath this fair value gap. So you could see reaction there. But in terms of the daily, where it's actually at, the specific area for this order block is all the way at the bottom. So unless you were trading off a fair value gap, which is still a point of interest, you could take a trade off of this fair value gap or this fair value gap. Again, for me, it'd massively be waiting for confirmation. There is, again, this kind of order block here, this demand order block you could trade from here that obviously caused a breaker structure previously, causing that breaker structure there. So obviously that low taking it that high, so that's obviously a strong low. But at the moment, all the strong lows are just getting obliterated, and that does tend to happen. So yeah, you've got to be very picky. You're going against a trend. For me, I'd be very much favoring shorts, especially into kind of these areas here, and potentially even this area here. And then obviously the fair value gap, you've got, this is like the ultimate low that we can look to, and then obviously that is the absolute low in terms of where market has ever gone. If we're breaking that low, then it's very, very bearish for the pound. It could be obviously a reaction as we've seen before of this level, but ultimately it's going to be a lot down to news. If we start to see more bullish news from the pound, then I'm sure we'll be able to react. There's lots of places to react to. So in terms of getting that bullish movement from the pound, it'll probably have to be from fundamental analysis, or from the fundamentals from the news that actually cause that market structure shift, or we just see the price action play out back to the upside. That's the only thing that would make me start taking longs. We're in such a bearish market, we're seeing such high selling pressure that it is going to be very hard for me to start looking long unless it's a counter trend position and it's very much like a 3R and then I'm out. But even that, I don't normally take positions like that because it's against the trend. As everyone will say, the trend is your friend. I'm typically looking to trade shorts, which I have done pretty much the last 2-3 weeks. I think I've taken one long position in the last 3 weeks. All the rest have been shorts, and my win rate's been probably the highest it's been for a long time. Well, since forever, it's like 95% or something like that, which is stupid. Don't expect to trade like that. I'm surprised as well with how high the win rate is. So yeah, any questions on any of this, drop me a message. I will do more and more breakdowns. I'll look to do some live stuff as well. I do it a lot more in the Discord. In our free Discord, I plan to do a bit more lives. This is Woke Effects, by the way, where I mentor. I also will be breaking down all my positions in the private Discord, obviously, and we go live pretty much every day. Either me, Dan, or Sal will be breaking down the charts. EU is more Dan's speciality. So yeah, we've got people constantly contributing to Woke. So anyone wanting to know a bit more about that, drop me a message privately on Instagram @RobDono. And if not, I'll see you in the next video.